Do you want to learn how to make this? Watch the end of this video. My name is King Sam and I make motion graphics and After Effects latest content right here on YouTube. So like this video if it helps you, and subscribe to the channel because it actually does a lot for me. So let's jump right in. To make this effect, let's start in Adobe Illustrator, and what we just do here is separate the individual components of the logo into its own layer. So I separated everything here and now I'm going to import it in. You don't need to go to this step because I will link the links to the sources I use in this video in my video description so you can walk along with me without anything Adobe Illustrator at all. So in our After Effects here, we create a new composition. Make sure it's 1920 by 1080, 30 frames per second, 5 seconds, and make sure the background color is white. Now you're going to call it animation. Click OK. And next thing I'm going to do is you're going to import our Illustrator file. So hit Ctrl I, select this, and make sure you import it as composition within layer size. And click on import. What you're going to do now is you're just going to come up here, double click on this our Amazon layer so you can open the files here, and just select everything in here, copy it, and paste it here. Now let's create a new null object. Then select everything again and parent it to the null. So you open up our scale property here and just reduce size like so. Now another thing I want to make sure you have on is this title action save. Make sure it's toggled on. Now let's go to P, open up our position keyframe and just adjust this position so that we'll be comfortable that it's in the center. Now you can delete the null. So the next thing I'm going to do now is you're going to select everything here, left click, and select create shape from vector layer. Now you're just going to move everything to the top. Then your Illustrator files under here can actually delete them. Next I'm just going to do now, I'm just going to rename my layer. So my layer 1 here, I'll rename it to A. Layer 2, rename to M, and so on. And now for the final tool, this is the head of the arrow, so I'll just call it head. And this is the body of the arrow, and I'll call it body. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on this body here to solo our A here so we can actually start the animation process. So let's say I go to 1 minute into my time frame and click on P on my keyboard to bring up the position keyframe and make a keyframe there. Now I move back to the beginning of my timeline here and just reposition it so that it will be in video somewhere around here. Let's zoom in, see if I got it perfectly well. Now, the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to hold Shift S to bring up my scale property also. And now, I'm just going to move somewhere around here and make a keyframe. Go to the beginning of my timeline and just change my scale to 0. So let's just move this position keyframe behind my scale. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move 4 frames to the front. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Copy this keyframe and paste it here. Now I'm just going to increase the scale a little bit, somewhere around here. So let's move it back a little bit. What we have now, we have this bounce animation for the motion starts. That's good. Now I'll just move somewhere around here before the position keyframe take effect and just move this to the back a little bit. So I have something like this now. The next I'm going to do here is I'm just going to solo my M and just leave my ear out of this for now. So for the next part, make sure nothing here is selected. You can just click out or click somewhere around here. Anyway, just make sure nothing is selected here. And now we're just going to our pen tool here. For our fill, make sure fill is set to none. And our stroke should be around 55. Well, we might actually adjust this later. Now let's zoom in. So just come here and draw a shape like this that follows the lines in our M. So something like this, and make sure your stroke is wider than your actual layer. This is able to make sense. And let's just increase this to about 27. What are going to do now? You're going to set the track mark of M to be the shape layer. So if you cannot see your track mark options here, click F4 your keyboard to bring them out. For our M layer here, we just set the track matte, alpha matte, shape layer 1. And this is what you have. Now what I can do here is that if you notice in my timeline here, there are some places that are not actually filled in correctly. So I can come back to my shape layer here and use my pen tool to adjust points that I'm not actually happy with. So here and here. As you can see, everything is filled in correctly now. Now on our shape layer here, we're going to open it up and add and select trim path. Now we open up our trim path animation here and just make a keyframe at the end here. Then move like 10 frames forward in your timeline and change the end to 0. Now if you click here, you only see your keyframe that you set. So what I'm just going to do back, if I play it back now, this is what we have. Now as you can see, the animation is almost perfect, but there are some spills, like for example here. So for here, what can you do? So you can just select your 2 points, because that's what is causing the spill, and just move it backward a little bit somewhere around here. And now if you play it back, there's no spill anymore, and that's great. Just open up our shape layer here, select that trim part, and just copy. So the next thing I'm going to do, we're just going to repeat the same process for each of our remaining layers. So let's close this up. And let's come to our A. Now let's solo our A2 and unsolo our M. So I'm going to bore you guys with too many details. I'm just going to fast forward through the remaining letters, but still the same repetition of the process I used to make my M. Take note, I never made a line animation for my first A because I'm not going to use it. And here's what we have. That's cool. So next thing I'm going to do is let's just rename all our layers here. I'm just going to select all my line layers. I'll come to this part where I started all my keyframe before and just alt left bracket, so I can just cut everything down to that layer. Now I can just come and select my other shape layers and also just move them there. Okay, now let's zoom out. Next thing I'm going to do is we're just going to work on our arrow animation right here. So what I'm just going to do is, with my pen tool selected here, make sure nothing is selected down here also, I'm just going to roughly draw a shape that just stops at the base of my Z here. And I can just adjust it so that the line can be relatively smooth. Until we have something like this. Now what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to my search bar here and just type in par. Now I can just make a keyframe here and just copy the par. So I'll just go to layer, new, null object. And now open up my position keyframe and just paste my par into my position keyframe like so. So now if you see it, our null follows along the path. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to parent my body to the head and parent my head to the null. And now if you play it back, this is what we get. Next time I'm just going to set all the keyframe here, hold down Alt and just drag it down so you can actually time it. Okay, that's good. So I'm just holding Shift R so I can open my rotation keyframe too, so I can actually adjust my rotation. So let's just go to the end of our keyframes here, because this is how you want it to end, and just make a keyframe on our rotation. Now let's move back to our first keyframe and just move a little bit further so you can actually see it. And now let's rotate it actually match the direction that we want it to go. So it actually now follows the direction. Now let's come to our second keyframe that is somewhere around here, and let's rotate it a little bit more so that it's actually coming from that location. So make it almost like this. Then we move forward again, rotate it again, something like this, move forward again. So somewhere around here, let's rotate it like so. This is what we have now. Okay, as you can see, there's a point here that it spins out of control. So just for us to rotate it again this way. Now let's see now. Okay, there's a little issue here. So let's come to our last keyframe right here and just adjust it back by yourself to somewhere around here. So if you look at this in Amazon here, it's not actually straight, it's a little bit bent. So what I can do now is I can make it seem like the arrow here impacted the Z, and that's why it's bent. So what I will just do here, I'll come to my Z shape right here, and now I'll just time where our arrow hits, so that's somewhere around here. And now I will just search part of my search bar here. Now let's make a keyframe on parts at the back here. Let's move forward in our composition here. And what I'm just going to do here is I'll just use the pencil, adjust the part of my Z like so. So by holding down Alt and clicking your shape, you can turn the bezier part into a straight part. So that's what I'm just doing right now. So what we have now is when it hits and center right there, you see it wrap up. What I'm just going to do, I'm just going to copy my keyframe here and paste it here. I'll come up here and select my pen tool and just select all the points that actually make it curve. So this, and just move it up a bunch. So what we have now is this cool bounce effect. What we're going to do now is we're going to get our timing right. I want our arrow to start flying in as soon as this animation is done. So here, so I can just select all my keyframes here and just move it here. Now when this hits, I want the Z to move. So I just come down to my Z layer here and just move it over to this place. That's nice. The next thing I'm going to do is on my head, body, and on my null, I'm just going to click F4 and just on motion blur for only those three. Okay, I feel like it's too slow, so let's reduce it to So now next thing I'm going to do is we're going to come from our N here to our N line here and left click and pre-compose layer. So make sure your move all attribute is selected and click on OK. Now we can call this Mason. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to create a square, so something like this. And now for this one, you can off your stroke and just give it a still of any color. Let's do red. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send this shape layer to be above my Mason layer here. And click on F4 so you can bring back your track matte and make the shape layer the alpha matte of the Mason layer. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on spin on my A layer and same thing on my shape layer here, and parent my shape layer to my A layer here. Now we'll just change this to alpha inverted matte right here, and that's what we have. Okay, that's cool. Now on our shape layer, we'll just start path again, and we just adjust the position inside here so it doesn't cut off any of our letters. Now Mason layer, let's see how much to do. Let's go to click P. Talking about position keyframe. Now move down by like 2 keyframes and make a keyframe. You go to the beginning of our Mason layer and just move it towards your left. Okay, now let's click on U here to bring up our keyframes and just time it appropriately. So somewhere around here, so let's adjust this somewhere around here too. Now let's copy this, move it forward a little bit and paste it here and just adjust it to go a little backward like this. And on our A layer here, we're going to do the same thing. Copy this, move it forward, make sure this moves a little forward too. So as we're going to do, we're going to come to this point where our arrow hits the Z and just create a new adjustment layer. Now let's make sure that it's 5 frames long. 5. And now we're going to come to effect and presets panel here and look for wiggle. So we're going to apply this wiggle position on our adjustment layer here, and our wiggle speed will increase to 100 and our wiggle amount will increase it. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video to this extent. If you have actually helped you, please drop a like. If you don't understand anything, drop a comment and I'll be sure to answer in my comment section. Until the next video, remember, live, edit, grow, and repeat. Thank you.